Hello, this is Victor. I'm here on the second part of the painting tutorial of the Ethereal. This is a part of a commission that I'm painting some Tau uh, characters. And now I did in the first part I explained all the base colors that I use to paint this Ethereal. And now I will start working on the shading and the highlights of the Ethereal. And the first thing I will do is I will apply Agvax Airshade. So I will start the shading by applying Agvax Airshade, and I will apply it on all the brown parts or areas. So for example here on the torso, I will apply also on the gold parts. In that way you will see that. And you can also apply it on the skin to make a little bit greenish shading, and it will give a very nice shading and start showing where the detail is. And I will apply also this on the hair. I avoid the light purple of the cloth and the light gray. So here, when you do here on these parts, be careful not to dirt the purple. For any reason you dirt the purple, wait until the wash is completely dry and correct the mistake. Well, it's very easy that this happens because normally the washes are very thin and they flow easily out of the spot. But as you see, I try to avoid to the light purple. Important that you apply a little bit on the where you have color transitions to you see here, because in that way we make hard edges between the colors and helps on the color definition of the miniature. Here on the arms I also apply completely. I will apply as well on the arm and on the scepters. So I will apply on all the gold and brown parts, as you can see, and also on the skin. So here I don't care if I dirt the part where it goes the gem, even it's helping this thing, because it will give you it will show you where are the details. If you see that it's doing this type of things, I think this here on the torso, maybe you have to apply a second wash. What we want is that we can see all the different things that are sculpted to see the detail. So again, here on this arm, the scepter. You can also apply a little bit on the dark purple. You can apply Agvax Airshade, or you can apply directly Noon Oil, but as I'm applying now Agvax Airshade, I think it's good enough. The purple is too dark to show that the brown tonality, so it's working very well. Important not to avoid these symbols, because in that way, by applying Agvax Airshade, the Tau symbols are going to be much more visible on the gold parts, and also surrounding the gold part a little bit, to, as I said, to make the transition more like a hard change of color. So again, here the symbol, this should be enough, and I apply here a little bit. And on these ornaments here is also important you apply a little bit of Agvax Airshade. Okay, as you see, it's quite fast and easy to apply. And then, as usual, when we apply a ink or a wash in the case, sorry, I still use the old word for this. So once this is applied, try to remove a little bit when you see that the wash is accumulated too much. To remove when you put too much wash in one part, you just the best way is to dry your brush and touch a little bit where you have too much wash. So I think now it's looking good, and as usual we need to wait some time that this is completely dry before doing the next step. So I keep it apart, and I will be back once this is completely dry. As you can see now, the wash on the brown parts is completely dry. So now I will start working on the skin, then I will do the clothes, and I will finalize also highlighting the brown. So to do the skin, first I will paint the eyes, and the first thing I will do is the eyes are going to be red, so I will first paint the area of the eyes with Abaddon black. So I just take a little bit of Abaddon black and I paint on the eyes area. And I will also paint this part here with Abaddon black. Okay. So the next thing, I will use red, and I will take my Fiston red and I will paint the actual A with red. As you can see. And now what I will do to give some brightness to the red, I will take Fire Dragon Bright, which is a light orange. I will give just a small touch on the middle of the red. If it's too much, I will correct again with the red. But I think this will give a very nice brightness and will make the eyes more lively. So now what I will do to start painting the skin with that, I always like to do the eyes first in case I make a mistake I can correct before doing the skin. So the next thing I will use Fenris Grey, or the color that is, I don't know what is the color that now is substituting Fenris Grey. And I will do the first layer of highlights. So I will start, for example, and I will highlight I will start highlighting the skin. I want this to be the predominant color, so I will leave the color that we have now in the recesses, in the deepest part and the deepest shades, and I will leave Fenris Grey as the main color for the skin. So as you can see, I'm almost covering the full area with this color. Sorry, sometimes the hand is covering the camera. So as you can see, we'll do the same on the hands, but I will keep working on the head. So I will then use, you can use Hades blue or Calgar blue. I will use Calgar blue in that case to make it easier because this Hades blue is a very old color. So to do the second level of highlights, and if you see that the highlight is too much, mix it a little bit with Fenris gray to make it light and to make the transition softer. And in that case I will go just to the most, so the parts that the light should be impacted, so the things that are more visible. Simple here. And try to enhance the morphology of the alien. And the expression. What you want to do with the highlights, especially on the face, is to enhance the sculpt. So you want to exaggerate to make this what the sculptor done on the miniature more visible. So a part of highlighting the parts that are in principle impacted by the light, so you want to make the idea or the sculpt, make it so you want to enhance the expression, or in that case the alien morphology. So hit with this light color, especially the parts that you think will enhance and will show the different morphology of the alien. For example, here I forgot to apply correctly the Fenris gray here. No, I will apply the blue. Okay, this is how the highlights. And because the guy is facing up, I will keep the front with lighter colors than the back. And the last thing I will do, in that stage you have to be very careful. I will use Fenrisian gray, that is very light one, just to do some of the most extreme highlights. In that case you have to be very careful. For example, you can put a little bit here. If you see that it's too much, you use the Calgar blue to compensate. You can put it here on the place where the elbow should be. And I will add a little bit . Again, what you want to do is to enhance the morphology of this guy. For example, here, this is a very prominent part, so you want to put just a small touch. Same on the other side. This will show, or this will exaggerate the bone structure of the alien. As you see, I don't highlight everything. This will, and this is how I will highlight the face. So as you can see, sorry, here it is. So this is how the face will look like. Okay, this here with the strong light, the paintwork is a little bit wash, but this is how I will do the highlight on the skin. And now I will wear the hands and I will follow the same process. So to wear the hands is exactly the same. I will do this one here, and you can imagine that the other one is done in the same way. So first I apply Fenrisian gray on the fingers. As you can see, the Tau have 4 fingers instead of 5. Now I will take the Calgar blue and I will hit on that areas mainly. And finally, just a small touch of Fenrisian gray here. And I will use the same Fenrisian gray to do the nails at the end of the fingers. Like that. This will do the hand. I will do the same for the other hand and I will be back. So you see now the skin is done and I will start working on this cloth here. So to do that I remember I use Celestra gray as the basic color. Now I will start highlighting it with white scar. And I will keep Celestra gray next to me to be able to blend it better during the highlights if I see that the transition is too hard. As you will see, if I apply directly white, the transition is going to be extremely hard. It's very visible where I'm doing the highlight, and this is not what you want to do. So you take the Celestra gray that I use as a base color, you keep it next to it, and I will use to blend it and to make the transition softer. So I want to finish with the pure white. So I will first put the white where I want it. Okay, so I want this to be white. I want all these folds to be white because these are the most exterior parts of the clothes. Okay, and here I will also want some white. As usual, use very thin paints. If not, you will start thickening these areas and you want to avoid that. And then in my palette, we'll put some white and I will mix it with some Celestra gray. In that case I can use water as medium to thin it. And I will start to paint next to these areas. Now the work is to play with the mix of Celestra gray with white to make these transitions up to white as soft as you can. You can see here when I apply this color mix, the transition is becoming much softer. For example, here I will apply here next to the white this transition color. Yeah, you still will see that the edge is very visible, but you want to make these transitions and you want to apply this white mix with the celestial gray in some other areas to soften these transitions. So this is here I did a small mistake on the brown. I will correct later on. Again, I take white and I be sure that I start from here up and I let it fade out. Again, I mix it and I try to soften these transitions. Here I will put some of the mixture. Will help also to break the uniformity in the other parts. Same here. So what you want to do is the clothes will not have a uniform color. Depending the parts that are more impacted with the light and that are having a little bit more of transparency will take other colors. Okay. Keep working with my mixture. So the transitioning is almost making a mixture of 50-50 of white and celestial gray. And here where the fold is not that strong. And then the other thing here that there is not folds, what I will do is I will play this mixture 50-50 at the edge. Looking something like that. Here this part should be lighter. The beginning is can be quite difficult to know where to apply the highlights. I recommend always to look other painters to see how they word the highlights and what areas they highlight. You see, but again what I explained when I was doing the skin. The objective is to make the details of the sculpt more visible. This is the final objective also when you highlight. So as you can see, I work in this until I find, and then here for example I put to match, I go back to celestial gray. This is why you need the two colors and you work with the two colors at the same time, balancing and correcting at the same time. If you want, I take also the Fenrisian gray. You can add small shading, and this will do two effects. First, will help in the shading, and the second will make, you see, I did a little bit of disengage at the deepest parts of these folds. This will enhance the shading, and will give like a, not tornasol, but will make this color quite tricky between these greenish and bluish tonalities. Making the overall tonality much interesting. So I will keep the cloth here as you can see. The next step will be to start working on the purple, on the deep purple parts. So to highlight the dark, the deep purple, I will use the color from this blue violet from Vallejo, or model color. And in that case, I will just apply a little bit on the top of the folds to make them more visible. Okay, and here I will just apply, as you can see, a little bit. And I will do the same on the hair ornaments. Just okay. This will be enough. And now I'm ready to start working on the purple. So to work on the purple, I need again the blue violet to do the shading. I will take the lilac, the color lilac, as is the base color, to mix each time that is needed. And I will use again white scar to do the highlights. I will do similar effect of what I did on the other cloth. But here first I will start painting the deeper recesses, and as I don't have a lighter white to do that, what I will do is I will apply the violet blue on the deep recesses, as you can see now. Okay, first I apply on them all. Don't worry that this first stage the transitions are too hard. So I also apply here. I will do something like that here. You will see that now it's very hard, the transition. We are going to soften this now. Here. Then the same on the front. And in that part here, don't forget this part. And I will clean where the wash went too much into the purple. Okay. So all the deep parts of the folds, I will apply this color. You can also apply this one, it's not very deep, but will help me to guide in my next step. Don't worry if you see the transitions too hard at this moment. The intention here is to see where you have all the folds and all the different recesses that you want to shade. The same here, I will apply a little bit here, okay? Of course, next step, I take a little bit of lilac, the color lilac, and I mix it with this purple. You can make a 50-50 until you see that the color is so. And as usual, you need to keep balancing the colors, and you paint next to the color that we previously paint. Okay. If you see that the transition is still too strong, take a little bit more of the color lilac and paint next to it. And thin it down until you have the color that you want. You see? Now what I will do is I will go fold by fold, making this shading. Until I'm happy with the final result. And I will keep working so if I see that the color is too strong, I go back with a mixture that is too softening. For example, in that case the recess was not deep enough to make here a strong color, so I go with the color lilac and I remove part of this until I find the transition is soft. So here is important to work balancing the colors until you feel happy. Then next to it I will apply a little bit of white. And again with the color lilac, very thin. You can go on top of the white. If it's thin enough, you will make like a glaze, purpling. So this is one thing that they do sometimes. You apply a very strong highlight, then you go with the base color, very thin, a little bit of white. So here is a lot of playing with the purples until you feel happy. This here is a lot of practice and passion balancing the colors. When you paint this type of pale colors, sometimes can be tricky because you don't have the right wash to help you. So all the things that you can do is mix and thin the colors and layering. It's all about layering and layering and layering until you feel happy with all the color transitions. You see, I start very hard to know what is the color that or the areas that I want to shade, and then I start layering and making the dark color thinner. What is important here, for example, here the color was starting to be too thick. If you have this issue, I take some water and I just go with water on top. This is just taking water and putting on top to ensure that the color is thin enough and I don't have great issues. So here again I apply white. This is too extreme, as you can imagine. This is just for me to guide where I want the highlights. Okay, and now I take water, a little bit of the color lilac, almost like a glaze, and I go on top of this white. One problem you will find is these paints dry very fast, so you need always to have water or thinner next to you. You see, what I'm trying to do is almost mix light directly on the miniature to soften all the transitions. So you can imagine this is a lot of time consuming, because you want to compensate, you want to be sure that all the transitions are correct. Here is too strong, and then I go back. But it's all the time the same type of principle, so do layers to make these transitions as smooth as possible. Okay, so this is an example here. I will keep working like that on the whole piece of cloth, and I will be back once this is done. So this is how it's looking like now, with the different highlights here on the front and all the shadings. So I think now it's looking okay. Sorry.
So I'm ready to keep working on other parts. And the next thing I will do is here on the hair. Remember that I use let's call this racker flesh on the hair. So now what I will do is I will apply back racker flesh, because then after the racker flesh I did the wash. So to keep the hair a little bit whiter, now I will apply back racker flesh on some of the hairs. Here is work that requires a lot of precision, because you want to go hair by hair applying this. I don't want to do dry brush, that normally is the technique that is used in that, because in my experience I want high definition of the hair, and I find that the dry brush is a little bit too messy to get the result that I wanted. So I just apply a little bit of paint on the hairs, and I leave it like that. And now we can put a little bit of pure white. So in the case white scar, we'll use white scar just on some parts. You don't need to put it everywhere like that. Here, for example, I will apply here more. Something like that. You just find that it's too white in some areas. I go back with lacquer flesh, apply back. See, and now it's matching, it's much blended. Okay, next step, I will paint the gems that are here, and to do a bright color, or maybe just make, I will use this very bright blue that I use in other parts or in other mediums to do these ornaments here. This will make this look like sapphire or something like that. Okay, and then I will use the same blue to do this one here. Okay, I will start first applying this blue, very bright blue. Okay. Right. Now I will use Ferrician gray from the top down, following the edge of this gem. Finally, I will use scar white
to do this effect. And I will use a little bit of wash, using this time a summer blue to create deeper blue at the base. As you see here, I will not apply everywhere. I will try to be focused to the bottom of this, like crystal or gem, or what you want to say, something like that. So in the case of the other gem, I will paint it as well with the same Baharot. This, by the way, this is Baharot blue. I will do the same that I did. But in that case, I will use the wash mix a little bit with the paint to make the shading. And I will not use, I will go directly to white scar, and I will put adult like that. Okay. The next, I will highlight a little bit the brown parts, and I will clean the brown for some mistakes that I did here. So I will use Vestigor Flesh, but you can also use the color. I will use the color brown. You can use the color brown better. I will use the color brown and the base color that was scrag brown. So with the color brown, I will do the highlights. For example, here. You can use the base color to smooth the transition. Here that I did a small mistake with the blue, I will just correct it. Just a little bit of color brown here. Here I will just disperse, and here you want to leave this a leathery impression, so I will that, and then this like horizontal strokes like that help to make the transition smoother. So this is going to be almost the work done. So if you want to go a little bit more extreme on the highlights, you can use then the Vestigor flesh that is more orangey. You will do like that. Okay. And then on the armor, so you can also do the H highlight here. The case of the golden, I'm quite happy how the wash is looking like, so I don't need, you need extra work. So the only thing you don't have to forget is this part here, the feet. So what I will do is apply highlight directly with Vestigor flesh. You can see I will apply a wash with Agax Air Shade in that part. So we can close these ones. Then I take Agax Air Shade and I apply this here on the feet. And now we have to wait until this is dry. But at this point, we can see that the miniature is painted. So let me do a better close-up. As you can see, this is the Ethereal. This is the final result. It's looking like the head, things. So this purple. So I think it's coming nicely. Only thing I have to do is to trim this in black. This is the one they give me as a base to follow for the color scheme. But again, because this is Ethereal, I wanted to deviate a little bit. I don't think there is any issue on that. It's matching perfectly with this army color. Okay, so this is the tutorial on the Ethereal. I hope you find it interesting and fine to follow. Please leave your comment, like if you like it, and subscribe if you're not subscribed. Thanks a lot for watching, and see you later. Bye.